health commentator, and a fellow of the American College of Endocrinology. He is the foundation editor-in-chief of the University of Lagos Journal of Basic Medical Sciences and has authored over 120 scientific publications in learned journals and 2 textbooks of anatomy. Wow. He co-authored the first national clinical practice guidelines for diabetes management in Nigeria in 2012. He is also a Google Scholar and was recently inducted as Foundation Fellow into the prestigious Academy of Medicine Specialists in Nigeria. Wow. Guys, join me to welcome the one and the only Prof in our midst, Professor Abraham Osinubi. You're welcome, Prof.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Glad to be here. So I will be talking in part at a point as a medical doctor. I will be talking in part as an entrepreneur. I will also be talking as a business strategist. And I will, in the process, interrogate the so-called blue ocean strategy as a whole, and then offer my recommendation to whoever may want to deploy the strategy. There is no doubt we are in uncertain times, especially with the advent of COVID pandemic and, of course, the consequences. There have been unparalleled disruption in every aspect of our lives. The healthcare system is overstretched, overwhelmed. There have been losses here and there of monumental proportion in terms of physical, social, mental, psychological dimensions. The political climate is highly charged and polarized, and that is, of course, also affecting our responses to COVID in several parts of the world. The economy is not spared. Stocks are plunged. Financial crimes are at the highest at last level. COVID-19 as a cyber attack is being, as a cyber vector, is being used continually. There have been inciting digital disruption, global value chains have been disrupted, millions of jobs at risk. Our relationships are also disjointed, dislocated. Even our ways and modes of worship are not spared with this advent. Okay. And then notwithstanding, I always tell people that in the midst of all this chaos, in the midst of all these glooming, in quote, situations, there are monumental opportunities if you look carefully at it. And indeed, we are in uncertain times. In fact, the destruction we are witnessing now have never been like this in the history of this world. It's monumental proportion. And this is at the time, I always say that creativity must be at the highest level. As we say in disruptive technology, that if you don't disrupt, you will get disrupted. If you don't prepare for the winds that is coming, the wind blows you off your course, and you may never get that course. So you must be strategically positioned. Companies, in the normal way, let me call it the traditional way we normally know to do our business, the so-called red oceans. We want to outperform others. We want to grasp existing markets. Invariably, what we are basically doing is not to create wealth, but for distribution of wealth. Now, I lay some emphasis on this. This is the meat of the day. In my own words, I prefer to take blue ocean strategy as basically pursuing differentiation and cost simultaneously. So it's all about reducing cost while at the same time increasing our market value. It's about devising and acquiring uncontested market, as we say, by initiating a new demand. And I will cite 2 great examples at this junction, and that is the University of Lagos Business School as a case study, where I currently head as the chief executive, and then the Max International as a case study, where I serve as a member of the advisory board in non-executive capacity. Let's look at the University of Lagos Business School. has been. When we started in 2019, we carefully sat down. Who are the end users of our products? They are largely company executives and their organizations. So what were the shortcomings? What do they need? The executives, they need skills acquisition. The organizations have seen clearly that there has been serious gulf between what was being taught at the universities and what they actually need in the organizations. So what has been happening was that there have been duplications of efforts and energy, as I've always referred to it. So almost every company in Nigeria now has a training school. The banks have training schools. Almost every other organization has training schools. So what have we done at the University of Lagos Business School to make us the leader in the country as of today? Is basically, we say, okay, look, we can bring the industry practitioners and the academicians under one roof. And that's exactly what you have done at the University of Lagos Business School. For example, no single course is ever facilitated by an academician alone. So what we are doing, basically, an academician co-facilitates with an industry practitioner who has minimum of 25 years of experience. So working under the same roof and modeling these executives to the very highest level. And what exactly do the executives need to acquire skills? How do they get these skills? Basically, combining these facilitators using, as a matter of fact, case studies, and we have been able to actually achieve this. And that is one of the major reasons why, as of today in this country, we are the only business school in Nigeria to have the trial of recognition by NUC, by BGA, BGA's Business Graduate Association based in London, and the Association of African Business Schools based in South Africa. We remain the leader today. And of course, we are not stopping there. We are going to Ireland. In concerning what Max International has brought to the market, and how they have deployed, the company has deployed the Blue Ocean strategy here. In 2017, I developed a 21-point action plan by which individuals can not only assess their state of health, they can also actually minimize effects of environment, effects of poor health on their lives. Also, this 21-point action plan also signifies and tells individuals the way in which they can live a good life, live well in terms of longevity and in terms of the quality of life. And it ranges from 1 to 21. So while I was growing up as a young medical doctor, having given prescription to a lot of patients, the next thing is, I can't afford it. Then the company, Max International, based in the United States, came to Nigeria and offered this. What exactly was the problem in the world then? Basically, health and finances. So this company has been able to bring into the forefront, look, it's not just about health, it's also about wealth. Because without wealth, you can hardly actually achieve good health. So Max International has been able to bridge this together like we did at the University of Lagos Business School, bringing the two together, health and wealth, under the same roof. And this has been able to help a lot of people, not only in Nigeria, but in other 14 world countries as a whole. So now quickly, let's go. What are the consequences of deploying a POS? Strategy with small companies to offer extremely valuable product, as University of Lagos Business School and Max International have done, and support companies to earn good profit and also surpass competition, as has been alluded to by my previous speaker, so I wanted to go. But basically, what these organizations have done is to actually recreate the market boundaries. because we believe that in BOS, the boundaries are not constant. They are actually highly dynamic, and this can actually be influenced by both beliefs and thoughts and the actions of the players. BOS resembles Porter's approach that we talk about in almost every business school. So don't let me waste time in going to that. But now let's interrogate the so-called BOS. Now I will start from, let me rearrange my thoughts here. Okay, I need to minimize so that I can see. Yeah, good. Now we need to do some rethinking actually of the BOS. So this concept has become part and parcel of almost every organization. As a matter of fact, BOS has become incorporated even in several textbook curricula. Yes, however, not every researcher actually agreed, funny enough, to the operations of BOS. And I will also play the angel's advocate here by looking at about a couple of areas. Number one, let's look at difficulty in finding the right blue ocean. Okay, it's good. Okay, get uncontested market, get markets that is not existing. But the truth is, in practical time, is that it can be extremely difficult to come up with futuristic ideas to identify colossal and untapped markets. It sounds great, yes. Go to a market, get a new one. It can sometimes not be as easy as said. So countless stories of companies that could not actually find profitable new market abound. Number two, detailed research analysis is required. There is no magic formula or a single bullet. In other words, it's not a straitjacket that actually fits all. Number three, venturing into a new market too early can also have some risk. Entering a market too early has its own risk. For example, the market may not be ready, the technology may not be well developed. For example, Kodak was the first digital camera inventor. But where's Kodak today? iPhone was not the first smartphone. It came actually late. But look at what is happening today is at the apex of the market. So entering the market first does not necessarily signify that you will remain there. Number four, being too early can also mean being too different. And when you are too different, your consumers may not be able to follow you, may not be able to appreciate you, so you may actually enter too early. Consumers do not like change, just like every human being. We do not like change, so the change may not be appreciated. I call this X and Y. I don't want to mention particularly. When company X actually introduced the detergent, look, this is what we are going to be using now. Instead of using a bottle, we are going to be using just a teaspoon. But unfortunately, the market was not ready. The market could not know, okay, look, each time we have been using a bottle, now you are saying we should use a cup. Meanwhile, you said you should use a teaspoon. Teaspoon compared to a bottle is not, but the market was not ready, even though they came with a very good product. So at times, being too new may be too different. Number five, ignoring competition can be dangerous. Yes, it's good to say in Blue Ocean strategy, we want to create uncontested market space. We want to make competition irrelevant. But I can tell you, sometimes when we ignore competition, this can be dangerous. To avoid being consumed by competition while on the way to our Blue Ocean, the best advice for a lot of us is to make competition relevant in quote, place. The defensibility. No company is ever immune forever. On finding a new ocean, sharks from the so-called saturated markets will eventually come to that so-called new market. New markets where profits can be found can never remain dormant for a single player all the time. Okay? To start building defenses as soon as possible is what I always advise to new companies who have found their so-called blue ocean. And what do I mean by that? The differentiator could mean technology, could mean brand power, could mean speed of execution, could also mean community enhancement and ecosystem. Number 7, strategy execution is so important. For example, again, I've tried to as much as possible to not to give to actually be anonymous about some of the companies I use here. Company A had a better product than company B. Okay. A did not execute appropriately. A actually did. But see, B did a better job in executing the same with an inferior product. So even though B came with an inferior product, B had the market. So the execution process is so important that we take that also into consideration. Strategy clarity, corporate mindsets is so important in the execution of BOS. It requires clarity about our trade-off. It requires clarity about the obstacle, about the challenges, about the workforce. Team playing is so critical. For example, at the University of Lagos Business School, I tell people categorically that our major success has always been teamwork. Everybody is brought on board, right from the cleaner to the highest level of management. Everybody organizes what the goals, what the visions of the school is, and that is a lot of strength going for us. So in the same vein, I always tell people that people who are industry practitioners who want to deploy BOS, they must make sure there is a clarity of objective, clarity of strategy, clarity of corporate mindset, and as much as possible, every member will be brought on board. So must round up 9, trust, timing, and patience is very important. Even having found, to start with, to find your blue ocean, it takes time. It takes patience. It takes trust. To maintain blue ocean, it takes time. It takes trust. It takes patience. It doesn't come overnight. It's a process. And I was very happy listening to the 1 or 2 or 3 last speakers say, look, it's not an event. Getting the blue ocean is not an event. It's a process. It takes time. Investors, executives, employees, all of us, we need to be realistic that all these take time to find the so-called blue ocean. It is also important to look at early indicators to confirm that you are not actually fishing in a dead sea. Because blue ocean may be blue because, not just because it's new, it may just be because it is actually dead, not containing fishes. Straying away from area of confidence, and this is really very important. Okay, Blue Ocean says, okay, get on contested market, move away from area of competition. But what we have found out in practice as strategists is that sometimes in looking for the so-called Blue Ocean, a lot of companies actually stray away from their main area of competence. Okay, by being stimulated to be creative, by being stimulated to be innovative, following BOS for literally can mean that we actually forget about the gains we have had in history, the gains we have had from strength, the gains we have actually had in deploying over time resources to areas of our competence. And in the process of looking for new markets, we stray away from areas of our core competencies. And therefore, that may amount to failure eventually if not carefully deployed. Ignoring marketing can be a very, sometimes we say in BOS, okay, you make marketing irrelevant because you have made competition irrelevant. I can tell you honestly, value innovation, unprecedented value, notwithstanding, marketing is critical to the success of BOS. First in mind is not the same thing as first in the market. You may be first in the market and yet not first in mind, because unfortunately, first in mind is what keeps the market for you, not first in the market. So we should not confuse being first in the market to being first in the mind. For example, Coca-Cola wasn't the first drink. Dr. Pepper came a year before, but because of the marketing strategy of Coca-Cola is at the apex today. The same thing in terms of fast food. McDonald's, of course, wasn't the first, but today when you mention fast food, you talk about McDonald's, all because these companies had paid attention to serious marketing. And lastly, the blue ocean concept. I say, look, the concept here is that sometimes you may not want to deploy your strategy in terms of blue ocean straight away. You may want to go stepwise. Okay, step into the sea before going into the ocean. The metaphor here is that the sea is shallower, the sea is smaller, the sea is nearer to the shore. So you go gradually. That relatively safe and smaller place of abode becomes your business nursery. It becomes where you begin to grow, where you begin to germinate. It becomes your laboratory of success, so that you are gradually moving, so that you don't plunge immediately into the ocean and get, of course, engulfed and destabilized by the sharks waiting for you there. So the bottom line is that you can find and define your blue sea by analyzing your industry, finding out on the serve customers' needs, and elaborating your product and building your niche right from the sea before then you go into the ocean. In summary, blue ocean strategy is a concept that enables organizations think and create innovation in their businesses that can assist them to generate sustainable profit. There is no doubt about that. BOS offers framework for creating uncontested marketplace, and of course they change concentration from current competition and then creation of innovative value and demand that was not actually in existence as we said. Many companies have done it. There's no doubt about that. However, many companies have also failed trying to, in an attempt to also deploy blue ocean strategies. Blue ocean can lead to companies, to oceans that are blue for a very good reason. Blue for a very good reason because there are no fishes there. Blue for a very good reason because the ocean is there. Similarly, markets can be uncontested because the market never really existed. The implication of this, therefore, is that BOS needs to come up. We need, as scientists in this profession, we need to begin to come up now with reality checks. Okay, whether the opportunity that we have found is actually real or imaginary, or the opportunity does not even exist, maybe just in our mind. So reality checks we need to come. Then BOS actually promotes, nevertheless, useful idea of moving away from competition. There is no doubt about that. Does so with attractive metaphor, contains a lot of practical tools that can be developed, that are used to develop innovative strategies. It involves quite some risk as well. However, it may sometimes work, like I said, and sometimes it may not work. And that is the importance of this. And finally, okay, we must not ignore marketing when deploying blue ocean strategies. We must not also remember we must not move too much away from our areas of competence, where a lot of research has already been deployed, where a lot of resources have been deployed, so that we can also move gradually. And lastly, like I said, is that the blue concept may be what a lot of organizations should actually explore before moving to blue ocean strategy. Instead of the idea here is that instead of searching for a completely new ocean, okay, you can find a small space within the blue sea at the periphery of the blue ocean, at the periphery of the land, where you still have a lot of competence and an abode, in contrast to the bloody sharks that are already waiting. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me the opportunity. This also is just saying that, look, maybe the next contest is going to be in the space. Maybe it's already being contested. Thank you. God bless.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Prof. Truly, having a prof on ground, there's always a difference. Your session is amazing, sir. Thank you, and I learned a lot. We appreciate your time, and God bless you.
Thank you.